Blessings. Welcome to today's Law Enforcement Daily Devotional. Today our read was out of 2 Samuel chapters 11 and 12. We also read some parallel information out of 1 Chronicles chapter 20 verses 1 through 3 and Psalm 51, which is a huge favorite psalm of mine where David talks about, Lord, please don't take your Holy Spirit away from me. A really good psalm. I hope you had a chance to read it as well as the chapters in 2 Samuel before we came on today. So let's get into it. Today's law enforcement takeaway is kind of a reminder more than anything else. When I was in police academy, and I know that was 30 years ago, but we were always told you can take a man's freedom, but you can't take his dignity. A man will let you take his freedom, but he will kill you if you try to take his dignity. And, you know, I think most of us have probably seen that in our careers, whether we were on the receiving end of that or we observed another officer doing something similar to that. You can't humiliate and embarrass people in the street, even as a law enforcement officer. That just kind of crosses a line. But we see this example in the Bible today in 2 Samuel. There's a story we read yesterday in chapter 10 where the king of the Ammonites had died, and he and David apparently had a good relationship. So David sent some guys over to comfort the king. But the son of the king, who had been made king, was surrounded by some princes of the country, and they give him some really bad advice. They tell him that they think David's men are only there to spy out the land so that they can invade and conquer. The young king listens to their advice, so they embarrass and humiliate these men that David sent. They cut off half their beards, and then they cut off part of their garments. And some of the commentaries I've read, and I've always heard this, was that they cut out the buttocks of their robes and sent them back, just really to get under David's skin, and it works. David gets really upset. You know, if the king sends emissaries to your country and you embarrass and humiliate them, they're representative of the king, so you're embarrassing and humiliating the king. So they're trying to steal the dignity of David and Israel, and David, fights back. The next spring, when kings go out to battle, as today's read says, David didn't go with them, but he sent his army, and his army attacks. And they fight a very long battle. And at the very end, King David goes out with them, and they take the capital city and all the cities of the Ammonites. And chapter 12, verse 31, it says this. This is after David has conquered the Ammonites. And he says, he also brought out the people who were in it and set them under saws, sharp irons, instruments, and iron picks. And they made them pass through the Brickland, and thus he did to all the cities of the sons of Ammon. And David and all the people returned to Jerusalem. Now I was wondering if David killed them all with swords and whatnot, but all the commentaries I've read said that basically he made the entire country, all the Ammonites, slaves to Israel, and from that point on, they cut down trees, stones. They were mason workers, but they did all the work and provided all the materials for the cities and the forts that David built from here on out. But they tried to take David's dignity, and they paid a heavy price for it. So just a reminder, when you're out there on the street, man, treat people with respect, treat them with kindness as long as you can. I know as cops, sometimes we have to take a step, and we have to confront violence with violence. It's just what we do. But you can do that in a way where you don't try to take someone's dignity. It's a very dangerous thing. So I pray for you. I pray for your department. I pray for your fellow officers that we would all show some kindness and respect when we can. Every chance we get, we need to be a reflection of Christ and be compassionate. But at the same time, I know we've got a job to do. So do it well and be safe. See you next time.